this video we're going through why I believe these cameras are changing photography for the better in 2023. So first, I'm shooting on the Fujifilm X-E4. This is my weapon of choice today. This is the 27mm 2.8 lens attached to it, and I've been shooting with this camera for about 3 months now. Now you may or may not know that there is actually a shortage of these cameras right now. They are in such demand, the Fujifilm X-E4 and the Fujifilm X100V, because so many people are trying to buy them. I placed my order for this at the end of December and I didn't receive my camera until beginning to mid-Feb. Did I mention that I'm in Miami? Did I mention that? I actually don't think I mentioned that. Also, I want to mention this is not sponsored or affiliated with Fujifilm in any sort of way. This is just my opinion. First things first, let's go take some photos with this camera. Really dope. Let's go. I wish I was more prepared for it. Just about to walk off. As I stopped to get my bottle, I spotted this car here. I want this frame. So this is what I'm talking about. I'm really slowing my photography down right now, and I'm really thinking about how I want to capture this frame. And yeah, you could do that with quite literally any camera. Any camera could do that. But the reason I believe that these cameras specifically are causing us to do that, it's something I'm going to talk about after I capture this frame. So why do I think that these cameras are causing a shift and causing us to look at photography differently in 2023? Now, the first reason is I genuinely believe that by removing all of the fanciness of a camera, all of the specs, all the stuff. Admittedly, this one can change lenses, but it's a rule for me. I'm never buying another lens for this camera. I'm never going to do it. By removing all the fancy details and taking it back down to a pure form of camera, lens, dials. Listen to that dial. Dials to change your settings. Like, it's so much longer to take a photo because I have to, if I want to think about my settings, I have to look at, all right, what's my aperture at? Set my shutter speed, you know, it slows you down so much that it's causing a shift in perspective on photography. As well as having, I'm recording this on my Sony a7 III. This is still my dream camera, was this camera right here. And I love it. But I believe that this slows me down and makes me more intentional with my photography. That's actually one of the big reasons why I fell in love with film photography, is because of how much it slowed me down and made me intentional with my photography. I think about every frame. And I believe that this camera is causing the same shift in perspective for me and other shooters out there. So reason number one why I believe that these cameras are making us better photographers and changing photography for the better, because it's making us more intentional with the way we shoot our photography. I don't know why. That's hilarious to me. So this is what I'm talking about, is I'm really thinking about this entire frame and how I want to capture it. I also love the blues and pinks over here. This car in the foreground. There. So I kind of want one more shot of it. I think bringing this all together would be the culmination. All these colours focused in there. I like that. I like that a lot. So really the point I'm saying is, with my Sony, I'd be like bang, bang, bang. I know I took like 4 photos in that thing, but I would be taking bang, 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 bang. I'd be doing all the different angles, everything like that. Knowing full well that when I get back, I'm going to be loading that image into Lightroom and I'm going to be editing that image. This is a really ballsy place to film this because there's a lot of people walking up and down. Okay, so the second reason why I think Fujifilm cameras are changing the way we approach photography and everything like that is the Fuji Colours. Now, this is something that took me a while to realise that it was actually causing an effect on my photography. But the fact that you can achieve film-like simulations, I mean, there's film simulations in the cameras, and you can achieve these colours and these styles that look very much like film, and you can perfect that all within the camera. You can see the effect that the style you've chosen is having on the image. You can see the image in real time, how it's going to come out. And that's game-changing. The reason I think that's game-changing is because for me, that fuels my creative fire. The fact that I can see in real time how my image is going to come out makes it inspires me. As I'm taking photos, I'm gassed by how they're coming out and how good they look, and that in turn snowballs and creates a spiraling effect where I'm so happy, so glad of how that photo's come out, that I then take another photo and I get really creative and I love how that's come out, and then it spirals and spirals and spirals. And it just, as I say, it fuels my creative fire. That's the best way to put it. For example, when I'm doing photography on my Sony, I still love my Sony for photography, but whenever I'm using it, I know that when I'm taking a photo, I'm like, oh, this photo's gonna look so good. I know that the look I want isn't gonna be completely achieved within the camera. I'm gonna need to import it into Lightroom and start editing. It might be a really quick edit, or it might be a bit more intense edit, but I know me editing it is a part of the process to getting the final image and the photo that I want. But through this, I'm seeing the final result in real time. And as I say, that it just creates a spiraling effect of just excitement around the creativity, and I think excitement fuels your creativity, and then you feel more creative, and it just spirals and spirals, and it's so good. Seeing in real time, for example, the difference between the highlights and shadows in this photo, and seeing on the LCD screen how good they look, as well as that film and that colouring effect that I've applied over the top of my image, seeing it all just, it just gets me going creatively, do you know what I mean? Because of that, I'm really focused on perfecting my image when I'm taking it. Instead of thinking, oh, I'll fix that in post, I'm perfecting it all in camera. And I think that's what I mean, is bringing us back to the roots of photography, in that we're doing everything in camera and getting this achieved result in the camera, instead of going back home and editing it in Lightroom. Oh, I just missed the police car passing. Between the Tesla and these old records actually going. Now, my final reason why I believe these cameras are changing photography in 2023 is because I believe, and this is mainly focused for me, but I believe this camera is making me a better photographer. Now, the reason I say that is because I'm a big believer in putting in the reps. Much like working out in the gym, I believe you need to put in the reps to become better at what you do. In the gym, you put in the reps to become stronger, to become better at lifting weights. The basic principle is about doing. There's a song by Macklemore called 10,000 Hours. And in that song, he's talking about painters and artists and the greats and how they became great. And the lyric that really resonates with me is, the greats weren't great because at birth they could paint. The greats were great because they paint a lot. And it's like, it doesn't rhyme quite. So that line always jarred me. And it wasn't until recently that it clicked what that line meant. And I'd realized, not even that what it meant, because it's quite obvious what it meant, but I'd never really paid attention to oh, the greats weren't great because at birth they could paint. The greats were great because they paint a lot. And it's it's what I'm saying. It's putting in the reps. The best photographers in the world aren't great because they could take photos at birth. They're great because they take a lot of photos. So having a camera of this size, this compared to my Sony, there is a massive size difference. This can slide in my back pocket of these jeans, it can slide in my jacket pocket of pretty much all the jackets I own, and it comes with me pretty much everywhere, which means I've always got a camera with me, which means I'm putting in a lot more reps, I'm taking a lot more photos than I normally would. And because I'm putting in the more reps, I'm getting better at taking photos. Combine that with the fact that this camera is making me more intentional with my photography, I'm taking more intentional photos, which means I'm just constantly growing as a photographer. And that is one of the biggest reasons why I think these cameras are changing the game. Because it's elevating us photographers, it's elevating our photography because we're getting better at doing it by putting in more reps. So am I saying that you need to go out and buy a Fujifilm camera to become a better photographer in 2023? No. What I'm saying and what I've laid out in this video is I believe these cameras are changing the way we approach photography in 2023. Aside from the small form factor and the Fuji Colours, everything I've spoken about in this video is completely replicatable in other cameras. But as I feel I've highlighted throughout the course of this video, the way Fujifilm has gone about creating these cameras sets them up in an optimal position to be able to provide us with these benefits. If you want to see more videos about the Fujifilm X-T4, be sure to drop a like down below and let me know in the comments, and I'd be more than happy to make some more content because I absolutely love this camera. I'm thinking about doing a 6-month review. Is that something people would be interested in? Also, quick shout out to the fact I've just started a newsletter about everything I'm interested in. Travel photography, self-development, ramblings, my adventures, everything and anything. So if you're interested in that, the link is down below. There's also going to be some freebies coming soon for anyone that's in the newsletter. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.